Who doesn't like free stuff? It's the third hour of the Elias Macko Show, wrapping up this fabulous week that we've had on the program. We lead off by talking about free stuff. Who doesn't like free stuff? Sometimes we fight for free things. Remember the fight for free parking? Remember when the Quebec government said, you know what, we've heard you, and we're going to give everyone 2 hours of free parking at the hospital. You go to the hospital, shouldn't have to pay for parking. 2 hours for free. I've partaken in the free hospital parking. I like it. Now, in other parts of the country, other parts of Canada, they're taking this to another level, but the things that the government will provide to citizens for free. How about free meth? Yeah, free meth, the drug, right? The Breaking Bad stuff, meth. Free meth could be coming soon to a province on the other side of the country. Could be the case in British Columbia. Now, Canadians are probably aware that there are safer supply programs that distribute pharmaceutical opioids, but not many are aware that they can also give out free stimulants as well. Adam Zivo is a columnist at the National Post, director of the Center for Responsible Drug Policy, and he has been all over this subject. Adam, welcome back to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me back on the show.
Listen, I let off here. In Quebec, we try free things too, right? You know, we've been doing it forever. But tell me about the experiment in British Columbia and the province's top doctor, Bonnie Henry. What's going on in BC? Free meth. Tell me more.
Well, so essentially, Bonnie Henry did a report into Safer Supply where she basically spoke with clinicians and drug users throughout the province for the course of several months. And the reason she was doing that was that there were significant concerns that these drugs are being resold on the black market. And she produced a report, which was published in the beginning of February, that confirmed most of these concerns. She mentioned that diversion was a common occurrence that was causing significant quote-unquote moral distress amongst clinicians, causing many of them to abandon the program. And that's what really captured the headlines at that time when the report came out. However, what was very much overlooked was that her report included many approving passages regarding the use of expanding the use of safer supply stimulants. Dr. Bonnie Henry essentially recommended that safer supply be expanded in general, which is somewhat inexplicable, but that's an entire different issue. So when I looked at those passages, you know, she said, well, we have to integrate a safer supply of stimulants into the continuum of care, and we have to expand the safer supply stimulant options, including smokable formations. Now, currently, safer supply programs offer weak stimulants like Adderall and Ritalin, which is typically used to treat attention deficit disorder. And there's no evidence that that saves any lives. And I thought to myself, well, wait a second. If they're saying expanded options, what exactly does that mean? And that's when I started to realize that they are probably talking about meth.
And what could be the case? You know, because even though I may disagree with it, I can see the case that's made to provide a safer supply to opioids, okay? I'm trying to run down that path in this exercise with meth and trying to come up with that argument. What is the argument here that there needs to be a safe supply of a stimulant like that?
Well, I think for them, the idea is that you know what kind of dosage that you're getting, which is a very, very weak argument. And not strong enough to counteract the argument that you're simply enabling people's meth use. And I became aware of the fact that meth is probably what they're talking about because when Dr. Bonnie Henry presented her report on safer supply in the beginning of February, she co-presented it with a doctor named Dr. Alessis Crabtree. And Dr. Crabtree is a researcher at the BC Centre for Disease Control. And in October, she and a team of other BC CDC researchers published a study where they said that, you know, we should have safer supply meth, safer supply cocaine, and safer supply crack. And when you look at the study, they didn't actually show any evidence that this is beneficial at all. They simply interviewed drug users and asked them, you know, would you like to have free safe crack and free safe cocaine and free safe meth? And of course they said yes. And then the researchers concluded, well, if the drug users want it, I guess the taxpayers have to provide that to them, which is absurd.
I want to go over this one more time because when I read your story in the National Post, this was the one thing, and I'm so happy you brought it up because it was actually the paragraph that I had highlighted to focus on. So the way they're coming around to this decision, just to highlight it once again for our listeners, is they asked drug users, hey, would you like free cocaine, crack, and meth? Yes, no. They get the yes as the answer, and they say, good enough for us? Is that really what's happening here?
Yes, and the thing is that we have to realize that many of the researchers in the safer supply space are not good scientists. They are not good researchers. They're fundamentally drug legalization activists who are producing incredibly low quality research, which would not be acceptable in any other situation, and trying to frame that as evidence to support for safer supply. In fact, when Simon Fraser University had a team of addiction experts review 19 safer supply related studies in 2022 or 2021, I believe, they found that almost all of these studies advocated for safer supply despite not actually showing any evidence of any benefit. They would just ask drug users, does it seem like it'll help you, and do you want it? And when they said yes, they said, okay, well, I guess that means safer supply works.
Jeez, and it's just on the drugs we're talking about here. Meth in particular. I've just never seen. It's almost comical. Like you'll see articles online about, oh, this person was a child star. Here's what 10 years of meth use did to them. Right. This is a terrible drug. Right. And it's there's got to be more pushback here. Right. Are people now, thanks to your reporting, starting to say, what are we doing here in BC?
Well, there's a larger push against safer supply in BC. The problem here, and this is what makes it difficult to tackle, is that BC's top doctor will not confirm their stance on safer supply meth. So I emailed their office and I said, do you support safer supply cocaine, crack, and meth? They said, we don't support giving out illegal drugs. We only support giving out drugs, prescription drugs that have been used in other jurisdictions. And I noted that in the report, they had mentioned the fact that prescription meth is available in the United States in limited circumstances to treat obesity and attention deficit disorder. So I emailed them and I said, okay, well, your email excludes cocaine and crack, but what is your stance on safer supply meth? And they didn't respond. So then I emailed them again. They didn't respond. I emailed them again. They didn't respond. So they clearly don't want to answer.
Jeez. And you mentioned the jurisdictions in the United States. Has this been tried somewhere else? Like, are there other places where they've dabbled in safe supply of hard substances like this?
Well, I do want to stress that the kind of meth that is used in the United States, it's very different, right? In the same way how sometimes we'll use fentanyl in Canada, in surgical settings. There's medical uses. And so in the United States, they have had limited use of meth for very specific medical purposes. But that is very different from handing out, like candy, large amounts of meth pills to drug users in Canada.
Adam, we do have to leave it there. I want to thank you so much for coming on again to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Adam Zivo from the National Post. If you want to read his latest, it's titled, Is Free Meth Coming to British Columbia? He is also the director of the Center for Responsible Drug Policy.